Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a good weekend. Apologize for the power outage last week. Apparently, somebody cut through that didn't have the utilities marked and cut through it during a home project. So the block was out till about 12:30. So I apologize for that. And we'll kind of pick up, review a little bit, but pick up where we left last week, because I think it's very important. As a reminder, next week we have that long weekend. We have Monday, July 3rd will be taken off because there's no sense talking Monday or working Monday when the 4th is the following day. So we'll be closed the 3rd and 4th. I'm assuming most of you will be as well, and we'll pick it up after that. So reminder, 5Q breakdown last week was here's what you want to, why you want to empower early, and it's a great example of how to do it. Guys, this is empowering is probably the most important tool we have. It's the most important. If you can get great at empowering, you'll be amazed at how well all of your meetings will go. I don't care if it's first, second, third, fourth, review meeting, a closing meeting, whatever it is. If you can empower, your meetings are going to get so much better. So make sure you do go back and watch it if you haven't, or listen to it if you haven't. This economic indicator has flawlessly predicted directional stock movements for 70 years. Here's what it says happens next. So a handful of economic indicators suggest Wall Street isn't out of the woods. Patience has proved to be the only foolproof investors need. Again, when they say patience, how many years are they talking about, guys? I talked about this 2 or 3 weeks ago. All these articles right now are saying, yeah, if you're patient, if you hold on for this long, we always have positive rates of return. How many years are they talking? It ain't 5. It ain't 10. What are they talking? 20 years. 20 years they're talking, and they're saying if you hold on, we've never had a negative return in 20 years, but 5% of the time it's less than 5% over the not 5% a year, but 5% over the entire 10 years. So that's why they say hold on. But this economic indicator hasn't been wrong in 7 decades. I've been showing you indicator after indicator after indicator saying we are not out of the woods yet. Am I showing you the same indicator over and over and over, or is it always a different indicator? Am I showing you the same one over and over and over, or is it always a different indicator? It's always a different indicator. This this one we're going to cover is right now, one economic indicator has been nothing but flawless in predicting directional movement for the past 70 years. It's a pretty clear message for where the equities are headed next. I'm talking about the ISM Manufacturing New Orders Index. Have we talked about that before, guys? No. The ISM New Orders Index is actually a subcomponent of the more popular ISM Manufacturing Index, which also commonly known as the Purchasing Managers Index. Each month, the Institute of Supply Management surveys over 400 industrial executives to gauge the health of new industrial sectors, inventories, employment, and a handful of factors. The U.S. ISM New Orders Index is measured on a scale of 0 to 100, where 50 represents a baseline of neither expansion nor contraction. So 50 means neither good nor bad. The figure above implies expanding, a figure below declining. Where are we right now, guys? Where are we now? And think about this. Look at this. Does this 80, 87, 2000, 2008, the COVID? So where are we looking right now? Like we're going, now here's the thing. This in itself is not the big indicator. According to research from Ed Clissold, the chief U.S. strategist for independent firms, Ned Davis, which is, guys, how well respected is Ned Davis? Those of you that are technical gurus or technical followers, how respected is Ned Davis? He's extremely well respected. According to them, no bear market after World War II has bottomed prior to an official recession being declared. No bear market since after World War II has bottomed prior to an official recession being declared. Has an official recession been declared yet, guys? Has an official recession been declared yet? No. So declared by the 8 economist panel of the National Bureau of Economic Research. In other words, the U.S. recession were to occur, history would suggest that the Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ have yet to reach their true bear market lows. While some manufacturing orders has had plenty of instances since 1948 where readings fell below 50 and signaled contraction in the new industrial orders, the somewhat arbitrary line in the sand has been a reading below 43.5. And where are we now again, guys? An arbitrary line is 43.5. Out of the more than 1 dozen instances where the ISM manufacturing orders produce a reading below 43.5, only one proved to be a false indicator. That occurred 70 years ago. Since then, anytime the new orders index is dropped below 43.5, a recession is followed soon after. And guys, what's happening now with the debt? Where are people debt-wise? More credit card debt or less credit card debt? Where are people with how many people are behind on their car loans? More or less or record? So if credit debt is super high, people are behind on their cars, what's the likelihood we're going to see a huge expansion here? Yes, the wealthy, they're still buying stuff, but who drives the economy? The 10% of the wealthy or the 90% of the people who are middle class and below? Who drives the economy? I mean, the 10% of wealthy can only buy so much crap. Who drives the economy? It's the other 90%. And right now, they're swimming in debt. So what's the likelihood we're going to see new order? I mean, people buy and buy and buy and buy, and the new orders have to go up. And the article goes on to say other economic indicators may spell trouble as well. However, this is far from the only economic indicator eyebrows to raise at the moment. For instance, U.S. commercial bank credit. Again, is this something I've talked about before or have not talked about before? Have not. Over the past half century, commercial banks have steadily increasing the amount they've loaned out, virtually no interruption. That's because banks have to cover the cost of taking in deposits. What's happening right now, guys? So again, and anytime that's happened, and since 1973, there have been 4 instances where commercial bank credit declined at least 1.5% from an all-time high. The 3 of these periods coincided with the benchmark S&P 500 losing half its value. 4 instances, 3 of the times, the S&P 500 lost half of its value. The 4th such instance has been ongoing over the last 3 months. So the fourth is right now. So 100% of the time it's gone down. The 4th time we're seeing, well, will we continue 100% of the time, or is this going to be the one exception out of 4? So guys, I've been showing you indicator after indicator after indicator that's saying we're out of the woods yet, or we've yet to see the bottom of this thing. That all we've had so far is sucker rallies. Almost 90% of the indicators saying we are not out of the woods yet. Now, that means 10% of the indicators say that we are out of the woods. We don't know. So if we don't know what to do, what do? We go right back to our chart here. This is a famous chart that I show over and over and over. Today's stock allocation, where's the best place? How much should you have in stocks today? If you want to be in the green, the highest likelihood of ending your retirement without running out of money. You want to be in the 20, 30, 40, 50% in stocks, no more than that. Really, the best is 20, 30, 40. The absolute best is what? 95.1. Here's the best is 30% in stocks, and then slowly, as the retirement continues, add more and more back into stocks. So go guaranteed, and then move money into stocks every single year, moving to a higher and higher allocation of stocks as you get into more into retirement. So how many of your clients have more than 30%? Especially how many of your clients have more than 50% of your money in stocks? If you do, and I sat down with your client and walked through this chart with all the research, with the walking through Michael Kitces and Wadefo's credentials, walked through this research with them, would you be in danger if I sat down with your client? Yeah, I guarantee you're going to be in danger. Get your clients out of the stock market. Not totally. We don't want zero. See, zero is red. But we don't want to be in up here either. We want to be guaranteed 30 to 50%, and then move money in over. And guys, that's all. I've said it over and over. That's how all my biggest producers, they do that over and over and over every single year. Make sense? Okay, let's continue with our objection. We talked about last week objections. You have to overcome the objection before you bring it up. If they say it, it's true. What's the only way to overcome it? Client admits they're wrong. How many people want to be wrong? None. Right? So how many objections are new? None. We've heard them all before. We've all heard all the objections before. Are they unexpected? No. We know objections are coming. We need to expect the objections. How many objections are not valid? They're all valid in the client's minds. From their current point of view, they are valid. So we have to treat them as valid, right? So what are the 4 types of objections? Lack of trust of you, your solution, or your company. No perceived value. Lack of value. I'm going through this quickly because we talked about this last week. We'll slow down once we get to the parts we haven't covered. No perceived value. They don't see any reason to move forward. No urgency. Hey, I see you make good points, but we'll move forward when it makes more sense. Or they have no money. Well, if they have no money, they have no money, right? Then we just work on them to get the referrals. Can we overcome objections before they bring them up? Lack of trust. Yes, we have the 7 acts of value. We have the 7 non-financial things that we bring up in the first 10 minutes. Don't tell, sell, preach, or teach. We make them invite us in. We show them what's behind the curtain. What I mean by that is by going through what's wrong with their current situation, letting them tell themselves what's wrong with their current situation, they now know what's wrong. They did not know that before. So we've shown them what's behind the curtain. And they know that if we show them, or if we help them understand, because they're going to tell themselves what's wrong with their current situation, can we fool them, guys? When the magician cuts the lady in half, see, when we go through Morning Stars with the VAs, with the mutual funds, with their with their money management, when we go through the fees, when we go through the 10-year, when we go through the fact that they have life insurance they didn't know they had, when we go through all of those things, can we then fool them with them those things? Can we do the same things to them that their current advisor does? When the magician cuts the lady in half, and then he shows you how you find out how he cut the lady in half, is he ever going to fool you with that again? No. So when we walk through all the things and they discover for themselves in their own words what's wrong with the current situation, what do they think about us? That we're going to then try to do the same thing to them? Or that now that we've shown it, we would never try to do those things to them? Which ones, guys? Of course, they now understand all the things they didn't know before. We can't do the same thing to them. So what does that do to their trust in us? They trust us. We don't have to ask them to trust us. They already trust us. And we're patient. Do we ever tell somebody, okay, let's get the paperwork signed? Guys, remember, I couldn't close a door, let alone a sale. So I had to let them tell me they're moving forward. So every meeting is left with what? Hey, we covered a lot of things today. I'm sure you got a lot of questions. Let's do this. Let's make an appointment for a week out. Give time for the dust to settle. You come back. We'll answer any questions you have, and then we'll move forward at your pace. Does that sound like somebody who's patient or somebody who's a hard closer? Does that sound like a consultant or a salesperson? Which? I wait for them to tell me, where do I sign? Where do I sign? When do I sign? Let's move this money now. I wait for them to tell me. Make sense? So can we overcome the objection, no perceived value, need, or value? Yeah, of course we do. What's the whole 21-point checklist about? Having them to say, holy crap. What is somebody tell me, what is the purpose of the second meeting? What's the purpose of the disclosure meeting? What is the purpose of the 21-point checklist meeting? They're all the same meeting. What is the purpose of that? Do they have what's the perceived need they have after that second meeting or after the 21-point checklist? What's their perceived need? Yeah, they need a new guy. That's right, Tom. They have to leave their advisor. So they don't want to leave their advisor. They need to leave their advisor. Make sense? How about no urgency? Can we overcome that? Yes. I can't tell you how many times I've tapes I have of guys that their client moved their money. They had the meeting right before the client went on vacation, and the client is on vacation in Mexico, in the Grand Caicos, in the Grand Turks. They're on vacation, and they take time out to move the money. So what happens to urgency with the 21-point checklist? How long, if you don't trust somebody with your money, how long are you going to wait to get that money moved? Till after your vacation? If you think your bank is screwing you, if you think your broker is screwing you, if you think somebody is screwing you, how long do you wait to fix that? How long do you wait? You don't. You do it now. You don't sleep. You can't even sleep till that's done. So the disclosure meeting creates that urgency. Again, they don't want to leave their advisor. They need to their advisor, and they need to do it now. Can we overcome the no money? Well, we find out they don't have money at the agreement meeting, right? We make it a win-win because we help the best we can, and then we get them to send us a testimonial. And guys, can we do testimonials now? Even if you're an RIA, can you do a testimonial now? What are the rules? Some of my best testimonials were from people who didn't even work with me because they love me. They went on and on and on about how great I was because I helped them even though they didn't move the money. And yes, we can use referrals now as long as they don't mention rates of return or investments. Well, if they didn't move their money, are they going to mention investments? So you can get a referral from them. Make sense? So agreement versus disagreement. What should you do if someone is giving you an objection at the agreement meeting? What should you do if someone is giving objections at the agreement meeting, the first meeting? Guys, have you recommended anything at the first meeting? Are you selling anything at the first meeting? Are you recommending products? Are you telling them that their investments are good or bad at that first meeting? No. So the first time they give me an objection, I'm just going to dismiss it and move on. But the second time they give me an objection, again, if I'm not selling anything, I'm not selling them on moving the money, I'm not selling them going to a second meeting, I'm not selling them on why their investments are good or bad. If I'm not telling them anything and they're still disagreeable, are they reasonable people? If I'm not even selling them anything and they're just saying no to everything, they're not reasonable people. So what am I going to do to unreasonable people at that first meeting? If they're being disagreeable and I haven't even done anything yet, that's right, you fire them. Very good. You fire them. Get them out fast. Now, check yourself before you wreck yourself. You got to make sure that what? Make sure you're taping your meetings so you can figure out, was I selling something? Was I trying to tell them that their investments were bad? Was I trying to tell them that the stock market is going to go down? Was I sharing an opinion? Guys, if you share an opinion, they can disagree with you. Should you be sharing any opinions about the marketplace, about their investments, about your investments? Should you be sharing any opinions at the first meeting? No. So make sure that it's them being unreasonable, not you trying to push your point of view. Make sense? And if all else fails, and you want to keep them, you use the objection formula. So what's the objection formula? First of all, when they give you an objection, you acknowledge it. You say, absolutely. Absolutely. You're exactly right. Don't say, I see what you mean. Don't say, I understand. When you say, I see what you mean and I understand, what are you telling them? That you totally agree with them? Or that it's a yes, but? Is it a polite yes, but? No, I understand what you're saying, or I understand why you'd feel that way. Is that saying that you agree with them, or it's a yes, but? Is it a yes, but? No. When you acknowledge, you say absolutely. If you ever are watching me or listening to me, and I say absolutely, you should know that that person said something I don't agree with. So before I learned, because my personality is to argue with people, to debate people, to show them that I'm right, they're wrong. That is my personality. Now, to defeat that personality, I had to train myself that as soon as somebody said something I didn't like, instead of putting my foot in my mouth, I would say absolutely. Absolutely. So that as soon as somebody said something I did not like, something that they were objecting to me, something, the place where they're saying I was wrong, I said absolutely. Because that prevented me from saying something else that would be stupid, that would get into an argument. And then after I say absolutely, it gives me a chance to take a breath. Because are they expecting me to say absolutely? Do they know when they're disagreeing with me? Do they know they're disagreeing with me? Yes. So anytime they disagree with a salesman in the past, what's that salesman do? Does a yes but. So instead of doing a yes but, I say absolutely. Does that make them shake their heads and say, wait? He just agreed with me? I just told him he was wrong and he agreed with me? What's going on? See how it shakes up their train of thought and lowers their fight flight? It throws them off. That's right. Throws them off. So they're wondering, what's going on here? So it slows them down. It slows me down, and it gives me a chance to take a breath. And instead of running my mouth, to instead follow the formula. So I say, absolutely. And then I parrot back their objection in the form of a question. So let's say they said, let's say I'm trying to show them, I shouldn't be, but let's say that I make a mistake and I'm trying to show them that the market is dangerous right now, that all these red lights are going on. And they think, oh, no. I mean, look at how much I made since January. I think the market's going great. We're out of the bear market. Everything I've read, we're out of the bear market. We're going straight up. So they're arguing with me, even though I shouldn't have been making that point. But let's say I did, made a mistake, because that's what happens when we make a mistake. We're going to get objections. If we're doing it the right way, we're not going to get objections. But if we make a mistake, and we all do, I do, and we have to get them around this objection. So let's say they say, well, no, it's all the indicators of the market's out. We're out of the bear market. We're going to have nothing but smooth sailing, blue skies for the going. So I would say, absolutely. We are going to see nothing but blue skies going forward. So aren't we? And they would say, yeah. So I've turned their objection from a no to a what? I say, absolutely. We are going to see just blue skies going forward, aren't we? And they say, yeah. So I've turned their objection into what word? How would they answer that? They said, no. I mean, we're full through the bear market. We're in the bull market. We got nothing but blue skies ahead of us. I say, yeah, absolutely. We only have blue skies in front of us, don't we? Yeah, I've turned their no into a yes. So what's happened to their objection right all immediately? It's gone. Then I start to tell them why they're right. Now, what do you think when I show advisors about how to do this? What's the first thing an advisor is worried about? Because the reason they gave me this objection is I was trying to tell them that there's a lot of red indicators going off. And he's saying, no, we have nothing but blue skies going forward. So he's saying the opposite of the point I want to make. So what do advisors worry about? Well, if you agree with them, how are you going to get them back to your point of view? Well, in the end, I'm going to get them back to my point of view because, guys, investing in the stock market, is there truly nothing but blue skies ahead of us? If you invest in the stock market, is there nothing but blue skies ahead of us? Yes, there is nothing but blue skies. Here's why. If we didn't truly believe the market was going to move forward over time, we should be investing in beans and ammunition, not in the market. We should have no money in the market. We should have no money in the banks. We should have money in beans, ammunition, and fortify our house. That's what we should have. So yes, there's nothing but blue skies going forward. But does that mean going forward means tomorrow, next year, or 20 years out? 20 years out, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen next year. And right now, all the indicators are next year ain't going to be so great, or we're going to have a big dip before we have a good year. So, but I don't want to get into that argument. But do you see how, when I say absolutely, we have nothing but blue skies ahead of us, I know in my mind, okay, once I get through the objection formula, I'm going to have them understand that yes, but the blue skies are way out, not tomorrow. We could have some stormy skies before we hit those blue skies. We are going to see blue skies, but there could be some storm clouds before that. I'm not going to do that right away. I'm going to get on their side instead and say, absolutely, there is nothing but blue skies ahead of us, isn't there? And they say, yeah. So yeah, because look at what's happened since January. Has the market gone up since January? Yeah. We had a bear market, so when the market goes down, it always does what? It goes up. So I'm going to spend 3-4 minutes telling them why they're right, getting on their side. I'm going to tell them, make proof, give examples of why they are right. Does that make sense? And why do I want to do it for 3 to 5 minutes? Why am I shooting for 3 to 5 minutes? Because if I tell them for 3 to 5 minutes why they're right, do they have any recollection that they were disagreeing with me from the get-go? Do they have any recollection of what started this original conversation? No. So that means we're no longer in an objection type mentality. We're no longer in a fight-flight mentality. I'm no longer fight-flight. They're no longer fight-flight, which allows us to have a more reasonable conversation. So after I've gotten on the side for 3 to 5 minutes, and the reason I say 3 to 5 minutes, because if I'm shooting for 3 to 5 minutes, how long am I likely to go? If I'm shooting for 3 to 5 minutes, how long am I likely to go? Yeah, 1 to 2. If I shoot for 1 to 2, how long am I going to go? 15 seconds. And 15 seconds ain't long enough. 1 to 2 minutes is long enough because it gets that they forget. How many of you have talked on the telephone or you're having a conversation with somebody, and somebody says something, you're like, oh yeah, I want to tell. In your head, you're thinking, oh yeah, I want to tell them something, or that reminds me, I want to let them know about something. The person finishes talking not 20 seconds later, and then what happens? You forget what you wanted to tell them. They're like, crap, I wanted to say something here. I can't remember what I wanted to tell you now. That happens. So that happens with objections too. When I get on their side, tell them why they're right, they forgot what even brought up this conversation, which then allows us to have a reasonable conversation going forward. Determine the bottom line. I just gave you the bottom line. The bottom line is, yes, we do have nothing but blue skies ahead of us. It's just that we don't know when those blue skies are going to hit. And then we tell a story about that, and then we have them reverse tell us a story. So we tell them a story about blue skies and how storms can come up before we hit the blue skies. But if you hold on long enough, everything ends up perfectly. And then I have them retell the story in their words to make sure they're on board. And then we go with outs and ins. Now this is a very, very high level skill that takes a lot of work to be able to do. So this is not what I recommend that you do. It's what I do, or my guys in the top 10 will do, but it's not what most people do. Most people use the 80-20 rule for handling objections, which is acknowledge, pair it back in the form of a question. Don't forget the two words, isn't it, shouldn't it, wouldn't it? Get them to say yes. So there is only blue skies ahead, isn't there? See, two words, isn't there? And they say yes. So now I got turned a no into a yes. Doesn't it, wouldn't it, shouldn't it, isn't it? Whatever, gets them saying yes. And then I get on their side until I beat the horse dead about me agreeing with them. And then I beat it some more. Does that make sense? So what have I done here? When they give me an objection, their fight-flight goes up. What happens when their fight-flight goes up? What happens to their pulse rate? What happens to their breath rate? What happens to their blood pressure? What happens to their ability to listen? Yes. And what happens to my blood pressure? What happens to my pulse rate? What happens to my ability to listen? See, when we're both in fight-flight mode, neither one of us are listening to each other. We're all thinking, both of us are thinking, what am I going to say to what I think they're going to say? I'm already thinking ahead what my comeback is going to be before they even say anything. That's not a great communication model. So I want to get on their side and tell them over and over and over why they're right, so that they forget they even gave me an objection. They know for sure I'm on their side. I think like them. I agree with them, not a little. I'm not 100% on their side. I'm 200% on their side. As soon as I do that, remember, we're no longer in a fight-flight. We're no longer having an argument. We're both thinking the same thing. It allows me then to start asking some questions to get them to realize that, oh, yes, we're in blue skies, but things can happen between now and the blue skies. Okay. Now, the best ways to start to get on their client's side and to beat the horse dead is to write down a reason why they're right. So, that's what we're going to talk about on the script call here after we get off this coaching call. When we walk through how I could talk for an hour. You give me an objection, I can talk for an hour telling you why that objection is right. I'm going to give you how we do that on the script call. But essentially, what you're going to do is you're going to write down a reason why they're right. So, for example, if they say I could write down just the fact that they say, well, we have blue skies ahead of us. I could write down, right on a piece of paper, I could write down, yes, there hasn't been a 20-year period where there's been a negative stock market. I write that right down. Now, what does that do when I write that down? To say I'm disagreeing with them, or I'm actually wrote down a reason why they're right. Now, keep in mind, when I wrote down a reason why they're right, they've also given me something I can just circle back to, because 20 years is what when it comes to retirement? 20 years is a lifetime when it comes to retirement. But I'm going to write down that fact. Is that fact right? There hasn't been a 20-year period when the stock market hasn't been positive. What else can I say? Yeah, we experienced a bear market, and the market's up since January. I can write that down. See, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the reasons why they would have said what they say. Hey, all the pundits now are saying we're out of the bear market. I'll write that down. Hey, the economy, there are more people flying than ever flew before COVID. I'll write that down. So I'm going to start writing down reasons why they're right. Do you get that? Now, when I'm writing that down, does it tell them that I agree or disagree with them? It tells them I agree with them. It also eats up some time. And remember, I'm trying to utilize the fact that when I'm talking about something, they'll forget what even brought up this conversation the more time I put by it, okay? And again, I'll go through more of this skill on the script call. But essentially, I'm shooting for 3 to 5 minutes of telling them why they're right. Make sense? So if all else fails, just acknowledge, parrot it back in the form of a question, getting them to say yes, and get on their side. You don't even need to determine the bottom line. You don't even need to tell a story. You don't even need to reverse tell a story. Those are high-level skills. You don't need to do the outs and ins. You don't need to do those, because just doing these three things, say absolutely when they give you an objection, parrot it back in the form of a question to get them to say yes. So there is nothing blue skies ahead, isn't there? They say yes, and then I start telling them why long-term investment in the market is a good thing moving forward for 3 to 5 minutes, and hoping to get that far, when actually I'm probably going to get 1 to 2 minutes. But what happens then is we've broken the anxiety, the natural response to a perceived threat or perceived stress. When they give us an objection, is their anxiety going up? Is my anxiety going up? Yes, which causes adrenaline. And we have more adrenaline, what happens? We fight, we flight, or we freeze. We don't want any of those things. So by doing those 3 steps, we've gotten rid of this. And if we've gotten rid of this, can we now have a normal conversation? If we're no longer argumentative, we're no longer a high stress, we're no longer in a fight-flight response, can we, just give me a yay or nay, can we now have a reasonable conversation where both of us are listening to each other? Give me a Y or N. And if we're both in a situation where we're listening to each other, what's our chance of overcoming that objection? Higher or lower than if we say, yeah, I understand how you feel. Many of my clients felt the same way, but what they found, guys, when you do that bull crap, they've heard it 100 times. They've heard it 1,000 times. They've heard it 1,000,000 times. They know all that is a yes, but. You cannot use feel, felt, found, because they can see that coming from a mile away. Instead, you acknowledge, absolutely, parrot back in the form of a question so they get to say yes, and then you start telling them why their point of view is right. What happens to your success when you do that? What do you think? Just doing those 3 things, not all the other things, because that does not require high-level skills. This does not require high-level skills. Acknowledge, parrot back, get on their side. Little practice, yes, but not high-level skills. These require high-level skills. But just doing these 3 things, what's going to happen when you get rid of people's fight-flight? Your success rate's going to go up. So what's the lesson here? All objections can be overcome, but it's a lot easier to never have them in the first place. So follow the scripts. You won't have objections. But again, we all make mistakes. I make mistakes, and sometimes I have to overcome the objections. But the plan is follow the script so you don't have an objection. Make sense? So in today's script workshop, we're going to go through how we can spend 3 to 5 minutes getting on their side. I gave you a little example of that, but I'm going to delve deeper into that and show you that I could go for an hour or even 2 hours telling people why they're right. So I'm going to give you that skills. And guys, how important is it for you to tell people that they're right? All those of you that are married, how important is it? How important is it for you to tell your wife she's right when she argues with you? Or your husband, he's right when they're arguing with you? And what happens to their fight when you start telling them the reasons they're right? Start listing off reason A, reason B, reason C, reason D that they're right. What's going to happen to the fight they have with you? Disappears. It's the same thing with a client. So I'm going to go through how we can get on their side. Make sense? That's what we're going to do in the script call. And somebody asked, do we get off? No, we have to get off the call. And let's see, what time is it right now? It is 8:38. So we'll start at quarter to the hour with the script call, and I'll walk through how to do that. So guys, is this helpful? This going through the scripts like this? I know it's a little bit technical on the skill level, but do you see how you could all do the first 3 things? Good. Awesome.
And I'm just going to clarify too.
Oh, please.
Sorry. I'm just going to clarify on the script call. Guys, it is a different link. So I think there's a few new people that are looking to want to get on it. So hop over onto the 5Q website. and you'll see that new link, or if you get the emails from us, it's also in there as well. But if you go to the 5Q website, underneath the calls category, we have the link posted right there as well. So it is a different link than this link that you are currently on for these Monday calls.
Thanks, Missy.
Yep.
Okay, guys, I'll see you in about 5 or so minutes at 1/4 to the hour. Thanks for being on. If I don't talk to you and you're on the call, have a great 4th of July weekend. Relax. Get ready to hit it when you come back. Thanks for all you do. I appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.